Hi, my name is Seth Backer. I'm a junior from the University of Maryland studying marketing, and I went to London this past winter with Professor Mary Harms studying the business of British design. I knew that I wanted to go study abroad again after high school, where I went to Israel for 3 weeks, and I wanted that same experience interacting with students that I hadn't known prior to the trip. And so I looked at all the offerings that Maryland had and decided that I really wanted to study product design and marketing. And so I chose to go to London. While there, we really did a lot of exploring with sites like the Big Ben, St. Paul's Cathedral, but the essence of the trip was really getting to know one another and learning about art from its early offerings to its modern contemporary periods. London was, again, the mecca of marketing, really the mecca of new trends and fashion and design, and I couldn't have thought of a better place. Our typical days started at about 9 or 10. We would get together with Professor Harms and talk about the day's theme, which would either be product design, marketing in the current period, maybe packaging, and then we'd go off to the next company. So for instance, one day we went to the Guild, which is a global company based out of the lower London area. We did a tour of the business and we walked around each building. One of my favorite parts was the nest, they call it. It's a conference room that's shaped like a bird's nest. And we just learned about how an open space really leads to open ideas and how the Guild is trying to move to the New York area and how they interact with different populations of people and different product types and different companies. And then after we did company visits, we would go to a site, like I said, St. Paul's Cathedral, where we hiked to the top of it and got a view of all of London. We learned about the history of the area, a little bit about Christopher Wren. And then we had about some free time at night and in the afternoons to explore popular restaurants and other areas. I knew going to London that it was like the mecca of marketing and design, that there were a lot of people who were very, high in fashion. But what really surprised me was that it's very diverse, where you'd go to one company and they would talk a little bit about innovation. But if you go to another company like Joseph Conrad's, you would learn about how it's about tradition and history. So I think what makes London so important is that even if you look at the scenery and the skyscrapes, that it's a modern building next to the Big Ben. And it creates an aura about the area that you really can't capture anywhere else. You see it a lot in pictures, but when you go off the tube and you look up and you see the London Eye, in the background of St. Paul's Cathedral, you get a little bit of, that modern spice with that historical essence that makes it so important to understand the area. So one of the best aspects of the trip was that I could put it on my resume and talk about it in my cover letter. And I look at it as being a point that does set me apart, but it leads to greater conversation. So with marketing, since it's kind of a product of its time period, it's important to have a global understanding of a company, trends and current innovations in the industry. So whenever I go into a company visit, I know that I'm going to talk about why I went to London, what I learned from there, and what I can apply from my trip to the organization. So this summer, I'll be working at Time Warner Cable, and during my interview, I talked a lot about ideation and why it's important to come up with diverse perspectives when you're talking about a product or a company. And I attribute a lot of that to London and my experiences there. I would say that the best thing I can say to anyone thinking about studying abroad is to work hard to raise the money and do anything you can to gain that experience. I can honestly say, looking back at it, that I made 22 new really good friends, got very close with a professional contact, and it really led to endless boundaries of opportunities and great memories as well.